Think of memory as a computer, and your computer uses a lot of set processes to process, hold, and use information. There's two main ways to process information. There's automatic processing. For example, you're asked what you ate for lunch, and you ate lunch probably an hour ago, let's say. You can easily recall what you ate and tell it to the person without any problem. Effortful processing is, for example, you studied the night before the exam, and you want to recall this information. It would take more effort to recall this information. It's more difficult to encode the information. Hence the name effortful processing. So for the processes, first you encode, which is inputting information into the memory system. There's a little more to this. There's actually 3 types of encoding. Number 1 is semantic encoding. It's how you encode words into your memory. Fun fact, your brain is encoding this as you're listening to this. How crazy is that? Number 2 is visual encoding, and it's how you remember something such as a lovable character you grew up with. For example, SpongeBob is square and yellow. Lightsabers with these colors are good, and lightsabers with red is bad. Or for me, Pingu's angry face when he throws a fit. Shh, I know you're upset, but we gotta finish this, okay? Okay. And number 3, finally, acoustic encoding is the encoding of sounds. Examples would be memories of a phone number by repeating it out loud, a melody of a song, or Pingu's iconic Newt Newt. I don't know why I keep doing examples of this. I don't know. Pause. Well, maybe because Pingu is in my long-term memory, specifically my long-term visual memory, because of how he looks or sounds. The next part of the process is storage. We gotta store everything somehow. Speaking of my long-term visual memory, in order for a memory to go into storage, it has to pass through 3 more distinct stages. Stage 1 is sensory memory. Sensory memory is storage of brief sensory events, such as sights, sounds,
Alright, only get a parachute,
and taste. It's a very brief storage and only keeps up to a couple of seconds to even a snippet of information. Second, short-term memory. Short-term memory is a temporary storage system that processes incoming sensory memories. Short-term memory lasts to 15 to 30 seconds. Think of it as the information you're getting from this video. Then that information, depending on the priority, goes to the long-term memory. And the rest, it's trash.
Woo! Bing bong! We did it! Bing bong? Bing bong!
You made it!
Third, long-term memory. Long-term memory is the continuous storage of a memory. Unlike short-term memory, long-term memory capacity is believed to be unlimited. Not for me though, I literally forget everything. It's generally accepted that memories are organized in a semantic or associative networks. This network consists of concepts and what you recall from memory. Concepts are categories or groupings of life experiences. There's 2 types of long-term memory, explicit and implicit. Explicit memories are things we consciously try to remember, like a shopping list. Implicit memories are things we automatically do without consciously thinking about it, like riding a bike. There's one more thing I want to touch up on, and that's episodic memory. Episodic memory is information about events we personally experienced, like your birthday. Final part of the process is retrieval. Retrieval is the act of getting information out of memory storage and back into consciousness awareness. There's 3 ways to retrieve this information. Number 1 is to recall, accessing memories without cues. Number 2, recognition, identifying information you previously learned about after encountering it. Number 3, relearning. It sounds exactly what you're thinking. Relearning information you previously learned. Interactions with the amygdala and the hippocampus are also necessary for the retrieval of emotional memories. The amygdala and the hippocampus also showed pronounced synchronization during the retrieval of both conditioned fear through exposure of the original cue and contextual fear through the exposure of the original testing environment, suggesting that these structures cooperate in the retrieval of fear memories. Also, if you heard a lot of banging and clankings throughout this entire thing, yeah, that's my 2-year-old brother. I can't do much about it, so yeah, he's the addition. Alright, now that the important stuff was covered, what's the problem with memories? Amnesia. Really sad, honestly. Amnesia is the loss of long-term memory that occurs as the result of a disease, physical trauma, or psychological trauma. What are the symptoms of amnesia? Changes in your ability to remember, and difficulty with recalling names and faces. People with amnesia may also experience something called confabulation. Your brain automatically trying to fill in memory details and makes a mistake. There's two common types of amnesia. Antegrade amnesia is you can't remember new information, although you can remember information and events that happened prior. Antegrade amnesia is commonly caused by brain trauma, so you can't remember events that happened prior to the brain trauma. Retrograde amnesia is the loss of memory for events that occurred prior to the trauma. People with retrograde amnesia cannot remember some or even all of their past. There's difficulty remembering and episodic memories. If you watch a lot of movies, think of the movie Overboard. That's the best example I can give.
You're very attractive for a carpet cleaning lady. Although you maybe could do something with your hair. Yeah. No, that's not it. It's your face.
Hello! Don't know what day it is. I don't even know my own name.
Okay, we're a little off track, but the other problems with memory would be suggestibility, the effects of misinformation from external sources that lead to false memories. Forgetting is another problem. Forgetting can happen from encoding failure, memory errors, or even interferences. I'm going to use that as an excuse now. Are you constantly losing your phone? Yes. Have you ever driven back home to check if you've left the stove on or the door unlocked? Huh? Well, fun fact, you did. I'm robbing your house. What about going through a traffic light and forgetting what color it was? Did I just commit a crime? You probably answered yes to these, hopefully. We're all prone to committing the memory error known as absent-mindedness, which is lapses in memory caused by breaks in attention or our focus being somewhere else. There are two types of interferences. Proactive inference, which is old information hindering the recall of newly learned information, and retroactive interference, newly learned information hindering the recall of older information. Basically vice versa. Also, apparently Inside Out in France and Belgium is called vice versa. So that, I don't know, that's kind of cool. Most, if not all of us, suffer from memory failures of one kind or another. And most of us would like to improve our memory, so we don't forget our phone or, most importantly, materials we need to know for an exam. For the rest of this video, which I hope has been informative, I'll be teaching you how to build skills to remember better. Psychologists are finding strategies to help people adapt to memory problems, including taking mental snapshots, forming strong connections with new information, training your brain. People in the early stages of memory loss can benefit from simple memory training. Mnemonic devices help us organize information for encoding. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Taking advantage of technology, using a digital calendar or reminder is extremely helpful. A few more strategies. Chunking. You organize information into manageable bits or chunks. Chunking is useful when trying to remember dates and phone numbers. For example, instead of remembering this jumble of numbers, you remember the numbers as 520, 555, 0467. You can also enhance memory by using elaborative rehearsal, a technique in which you think about the meaning of new information and its relation to knowledge already stored in your memory. For example, you could remember 520 as Arizona's area code, and the person you just met is from Arizona. This would better help you remember the 520 prefix. So how do you study effectively? Well, it's recommended to space your study sessions, as the workload, especially in college, is heavy and often takes hours of your day actually doing your assignments. I've been in this predicament before, but according to this article I found about studying strategies, if you have, let's say, 12 hours of studying to do for a subject, it's better to study for the 3 hours each week for 4 weeks than cram all those 12 hours into week 4. I did this a lot this semester, and honestly, I learned from my mistake. We're going to do it better next round. Interweave your subjects. Research shows that mixing tasks and topics is a better idea to learn well. People expect to be taught the way they're used to be taught, but students can always bring their own methods into their study session. While you may think this video strays away and some of the evidence shown is odd and, well, I say it's my own way. I say it's my way to teach you. While it might be different, it makes me understand the concept better, and I feel like it keeps retention, so this is my example of interweaving. Everything's the same, but I use different examples. In conclusion, memory has processes to be able to process, store, and use information you've learned. There's multiple types of memory, and they all have a role in the process of memorization. But when there's a disruption in memory, such as amnesia, the whole system struggles and attempts to self-repair, most times incorrectly. Luckily, there is ways to attempt the reconstruction of this system, but I'm just grateful that I'm not in this predicament. It's seriously one of the most heartbreaking things to happen to someone, and it's important to be aware of the possibility of it when growing up. And that is the end. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.